Hey guys, this is Tom Box, and of course next to me is not Nishi. This is Bobby Doo. Welcome to the studio, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me on.
No, thank you. You have recently won the Seattle Regional. It was the same weekend as YCS Providence, and you took Mitsurugi Ryzeal. You know what? Rather than me showcasing, my build, why not bring an expert in here that took down 350 players?
I don't know if I call myself an expert.
You know what?
Yet, but
you took down 350 players, all right? So congratulations on
Thank you.
the regional win. And yeah, any shout outs you want to give?
Shout outs to my team CWG. They're all really nice. Special thanks to Prob. He was always cheering me on during the regional. Rhinex, special thanks to Leo for always lending me cards. Thanks for Tommy for convincing me to play the game IRL again. I was really on the fence about it, and he told me, hey, give it a shot, and I guess here I am winning a regional.
Yeah, so today we've got, of course, for you guys, the deck profile, the deck list, card for card, and maybe some interesting questions I'm going to question during him showing off the cards. All right, so let's go.
All right, to start off with Ryzeal engine, so 2 copies of X Ryzeal. This is the best starter in the deck. This card is crazy into playing into boards. One of the reasons why the deck is so good. And then 2 Sword Ryzeal, self-explanatory.
They're the bricks. Well, they're not really a brick. There's a 1-card combo.
And 2 Ice Ryzeal. All the Ryzeal cards do get you into full Ryzeal and Mitsurugi combo, because now that Habakiri exists, you can make a Feral Imps, and the Habakiri bridges you into full Mitsurugi combo. So even though Ice and Sword are not as ideal to draw, you would rather open X, they still get the drop down. They're still starters. And then
card combo deck.
And then the 2 semi bricks, they're not started by themselves, but they can work as extenders. Node Ryzeal and Star Ryzeal.
So you do play Star Ryzeal?
Yeah, Star Ryzeal is extremely good. When I first started testing the deck, I wasn't playing Star Ryzeal, but as I tried Star Ryzeal comes up a lot. Star Ryzeal gives your combo a higher floor because it lets you have more access to Ryzeal Cross. And in some combos, you open 2 Ryzeal names, you can go Ice Ryzeal, Special Star Ryzeal, get the Ryzeal Cross immediately, summon Duo Drive, but don't use the effect first. So now you have a monster negate for whatever hand traps or potentially droll that they have. So Star Ryzeal, while it doesn't help by itself like Node Ryzeal, increases the power of the Ryzeal engine, and I definitely would not cut it.
Okay.
And then the 1 Bonfire, because it's at 1, and the 1 Ryzeal Cross. You don't need any more of this, but this card's really good now. It's actually really important now to recycle your names now that they're all at 2. Notably, I don't play 7th Tachyon in this list. Now, I think that you can play 7th Tachyon, but I didn't like how much it played into Droll. Instead, I elected to play a 2nd copy of Aramasa, a 2nd copy of Mitsurugi Ritual, and the Pot of Prosperity.
You see the Mitsurugi engine.
2 Aramasa. Most lists play 1, but most lists play 7th Tachyon. It's a 1-card starter. Because I'm not playing Tachyon, I play the 2nd copy. And then your 2 semi-bricks, Saji and Kusanagi. You need both for the combo. Kusanagi is a lot worse to draw than Saji. But these are engine requirements, you can't cut them.
Without Kusanagi, you can't add back the ritual to get the 2nd ritual summon going.
Yeah.
It's really, really clunky when that happens.
I actually don't even ritual summon twice in my mainline combos, but Kusanagi is really good for recurring your quick play spell back. I usually try to end on both quick play spell and trap, as you'll see. And then 3 copies of Habakiri. This card's amazing. This card fixes all the consistency issues of the deck had previously. I played the deck previously, and trust me, I've bricked a lot on it. This card is full combo by itself. It makes Feral Imps full combo. And it's just one extra thing they have to stop if you're going 2nd, because this threatens to full combo.
I feel like that card, it's so weird when someone's building a Ryzeal board and you stop everything Ryzeal and then they reveal that card at the end, like the last card in hand.
Yeah, and then you just go Ame, you clear their board, and then you set up And it's really hard because the Murakumo also attacks them card. And speaking of which, the one Murakumo, I don't play any more copies because I don't want to be bricking on Ritual Monster names. Mitsurugi Ritual can help you extend even though it doesn't help you start. But the Ritual Monsters, they don't help you extend. That's why I only play the one. And then 3 copies of Mitsurugi Prayers. This is technically a starter. It's one of the weaker starters in the deck, but it is the strongest extender. Plus, if you open this, you can use this in draw phase, and it lets you get through a lot of searches, so you play around draw. One of the most important things I wanted to do while building the deck was respect draw and Lockbird, one of the silver bullets of the deck. So you definitely have to max out on this card. And then 2 Mitsurugi Ritual. You can get away with 1, but in the same vein, this is one of the strongest extenders you can have, and it is really strong to hard open this into draw and Lockbird, so I wanted an extra copy. There's actually one game where my first copy got Dominus Impulse, and then I activated the second copy, and I Ritual Summoned anyways.
Alright.
And then the one Purification. You don't have to mainboard this, you could sideboard this, but I really like ending on both the quick play spell and the trap in my mainline combo. It makes the board incredibly hard to deal with. So I do like main decking this a lot, but you could definitely sideboard this. For hand traps, 3 Ash Blossom. Ash is a little bit mediocre, but it is really strong defensively into Charmies, and it is not that bad. So you still have to max on it. 3 Infinite Impermanence.
How does that feel so far?
This feels alright. I don't like Effect Veiler, I don't have it in the list, but Impermanence, because it can double as a board breaker, always feels like it at least trades with something, it gives you a little value. So Imperm feels alright. 3 Fuelos.
Okay.
This is
Maxi.
Maxi. It's one of the best ways to stop an opponent going second. You just have to max on it. It's basically Maxi. And then in the same vein, 3 copies of Multi-Army Perulia. This is a little bit less conventional, but right now it is very hard to stop people from full comboing. So instead I elected to max out on the main deckable Charmies. I'm still gonna let my opponent make a board, but what I want to do is have them make less of a board. Have them lower their board strength to a point where it is now breakable with X Ryzeal, with some Mitsurugi cards. Have them lower their board to a state where I can board break it, set up, or even OTK them. And then for hand traps at 2, I play 2 Nibiru. It's because I think Nibiru is a little bit inconsistent. There are times where Nibiru is really good and there's times where Nibiru is really bad. But because I play 6 Charmies, if my opponent does choose to full combo me, I want something I can draw into to just shut them down. I don't want them to all in, make an unbreakable board anyways, and I draw into nothing that helps me play through the board. And for the other hand trap, 2 Draw and Lockbird. Draw and Lockbird is really good in the mirror match, and honestly, in most of the matchups currently, except Malice. I want to respect Malice a little bit more, hence I side the 3rd Draw and Lockbird instead. And then to round off the deck, a bunch of power spells that I currently have 1. Prosperity, you need it for the extra consistency.
I'm gonna ask you, like, hey, why Prosperity in general? Isn't it kind of tight for your extra deck?
The extra deck is not as important as, say, Fiendsmith Ryzeal lists, because a lot of your extra deck is more so flex spots that, you know, may come up, but they usually don't, but you want them there just in case. Most people have cut the Prosperity, but that's also because they play 7th Tachyon, and because they want to use the Ryzeal Cross to recycle Ryzeal names. I said earlier Ryzeal names are at 2, so it's really important to recycle them sometimes, not just to draw a card. Okay. But because I don't like playing 7th Tachyon, I do have to play the extra piece of consistency. So this is probably one of the more cuttable cards of the deck. Okay.
And you got the 3 power spells, let's just lay them out.
Called by Crossout Tactics Talent. Again, I said I want to respect Droll. These cards hard punish Droll, so you just gotta play them.
I mean, looking at opponent's hand, it kind of wins like half the game.
Tactic Sound is extremely strong, especially if you can even build like a half board after you get drolled and then you see their hand, you know exactly how to stop them.
Right, extra deck.
Alright, so the one detonator, it's at 1. I would play more if I could.
Who wouldn't?
2 duo drive. You need 2 in case the first one is stopped and you get into a grind game. And sometimes you want to send it off of X Ryzeal, so you have a material in case you hard open draw. Cross.
So you can do that whole detach and still have a negate. Yep.
Exactly. Feral Imps, you don't need more than 1 because you can revive it off twins. It's not once per turn in case this does get negated, but this kind of bridges both your engines together. It makes the deck flow seamlessly. Dugaris, you can, I make this a lot to draw on turn 1 now because you actually have so many level 4 bodies, but there's a really cool play against Malice where if you send Artifact Lancia to the graveyard, you can revive it later and then Lancia them again. I did that once and the guy was not very happy with me, let's just say that.
Did he get a UC minor? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Wasn't happy with you. He said certain things.
The one Exciton Knight, you just need this to clean up certain game states or to bait out back row. The one Tornado Dragon, sometimes you need to proactively force back row or they have a continuous or field spell you really want to clear. So it's just here for utility. Baguska is a contingency plan in case you get drolled. Sometimes your hand can't really make anything through droll, so you just make this, hopefully it buys you a turn.
Do you use that to make it in Shifter as well? If the one of Shifter hits you?
You can actually still trigger your Mitsurugis under Shifter because they trigger if they're tributed, not if they're sent to the graveyard. So sometimes you can actually still fully play under Shifter. So I hadn't actually had that come up. It was more so for Droll. 1 Gallon Granite. This is kind of your replacement for Dweller now. This basically is just here to search Nibiru. It's here to give you an extra layer of disruption on your end board, but also sometimes you get Charmed and you have 2 4s left over. You just turn it into a Granite and you grab a Nibiru. It's really hard for them. Even though they know you have a Nibiru, if you have the Murakumo Raigeki already, it's very hard for them to play through that kind of board. 1 Asofiel, I keep getting questioned on why this is in my extra deck, like why do you have
why is this in your extra deck?
Most of the text on this card doesn't actually matter. What actually matters is it says you can detach a material, target a monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Most of your forms of removal in this deck, basically all of it, Detonator, Murakumo, it destroys. Sometimes you run into a monster that you don't want to destroy or can't be destroyed. Like, say you're against Fire Kings. I don't want to destroy the Fire Kings and give them a whole bunch of card advantage. So this is useful. Now, the other question is, okay, why don't you play Kistel? Well, this only needs to use 1 XYZ material. So if you have a Star Ryzeal, you can still special the Star Ryzeal with the extra material. If you have this Engrave, you can send Twins of the Eclipse, revive it, it comes back with 1 material, you can use it again. So this is just a lot more useful than Kistel, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I like that. I might try that out myself.
Oh, okay, very nice. And then for X-Send targets, we have 2 Eclipse Twins. Sometimes you actually hard make this.
You actually have space for 2?
Yeah, believe it or not, because I don't have to play the targets for 7th Tachyon.
Also the Drogluxian.
Yeah, because if you play it, you should also play the rank 8 that helps you bridge the engine.
Yeah, the one that
so I have more flex space in my extra deck. That's one thing I liked about not playing 7th Tachyon either. You just have more utility in the extra deck. And then the 1 Aggregator. They're mostly here just to be sent off of X Ryzeal, but Eclipse Twins comes up sometimes where you need to hard make it. 1 Typhon. Typhon is something you don't really lab out or you test for. Typhon just comes out, and Typhon randomly just wins you the game. So if you have space in the extra deck, I would always recommend just having the Typhon. Who knows when it will come up.
It's actually pretty good against like Ame, like Murakumo. Like it turns off their taxing, turns off their Ryzeal, Detonator, gives you like a little bit more wiggle room.
Yeah, it definitely gives you an extra bit of board breaking capability against some of the more layered boards. And then the 1 Haggard Lizardos. You need it because you have Nibiru, and sometimes you have X Ryzeal in hand, but you have a Nibiru on the field. So Lizardos clears itself, gives you a free card. It's pretty nice having the extra deck.
And one thing that's pretty uncommon on this channel, which is on a deck profile. Usually I don't do a side deck, but since this one is a tournament result-based one, we're going to check out your side deck as well.
All right, let's get started. All right, third copy of Droll and Lockbird. I have it here for the mirror match. I have it here for, honestly, most of the meta and rogue matchups except Malice. I just didn't want it in the main deck because I respected Malice a lot going into the tournament. And then, speaking of respecting Malice, 3 copies of Artifact Lancia, self-explanatory. And
they can't play the game.
And paired with Artifact Lancia, 2 copies of Chaos Hunter.
Oh, you're really going on that anti-Malice.
Yeah, you need actually a lot of hate cards for Malice because their extension is so powerful now. You're really fighting an uphill battle if you don't draw one of them. So you do need the extra push against Malice, or I guess the extra floodgate against Malice. I found that Hunter was a little bit better for me than Malice because they're usually okay giving you a few cards of Malice because the board they set up is really not breakable anyways. So I like just forcing them to stop with Hunter.
Okay.
And then 3 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust.
Thrust is Thrust.
This format is really centered around Charmies and Droll, and Thrust is when every deck is running 3 to 6 Charmies, 3 Drolls. Yep. Thrust is one of the best counter cards. Thrust is sideable going in first and second. You can side in going second as a board breaker, so it's also really flexible. That's why I play 3 copies of it.
I mean, it is very good. I mean, think about any time that has resolved, like D barriers, Sanctum.
Yeah, those cards are all honestly, they're honestly all bannable. They're just so powerful. And a little bit spicy, I do play back row removal. I played 1 Duster and 2 Lightning Storms. Originally it was just the 1 Duster for Thrust, but I found a lot of people were not respecting back row removal right now. Solemn Warning has seen more popularity in use. And I found that back row removal is honestly kind of the best when people don't expect it. Yep. I also wanted an extra board breaker to draw from my Charmies going second. I also wanted a way to clear out back row if they decide to pass after I Droll or Charmy them and just set 3 back row. And finally for the Thrust targets, we have Sanctum for Lancia, D-Barrier for honestly everything else, and Black Goat Laughs as a utility card. Black Goat I find is really flexible and it's really nice just to have a generic going for side-in card that doubles as an extra Thrust target. Against Malice, if they banish a name, you can just chain Black Goat, call the Malice name, and they can't use it. Yeah. Against the mirror match, say they activate Mitsurugi Ritual, you can just call Murakumo. Well, now suddenly they can't summon the Murakumo. And going back to your turn, whatever they set up, say they set up a detonator, you just go banish the Black Goat from the graveyard, call detonator. Boom! It clears the initial play, and it clears the follow-up play, and it's really easy for you to just secure the game from that point on.
I like how layered that was. Like,
yeah.
I dealt with the big problem coming up, and I dealt with the problem that's at hand.
So I do think Black Goat Laugh is a little bit underrated right now. I would definitely try it out if you have one.
All right, that's actually the side deck. Once again, thank you, Bobby, for coming in and showcasing your deck profile, and congratulations for your first place finish at Seattle Regionals 2025 for the Alliance Insight format.
I really appreciate having me on. I really want to be on the channel for a while, but I feel like I needed like some big event.
Well, you had like a 3rd place or 2nd place finish before. You've topped so many Vancouver regions already. Like, it's just that I usually don't bring a camera, and whenever I'm judging, I'm too tired to do anything afterwards. So I'm glad to actually have you here in the space that I do the videos, and you got me covered. So you're doing me a favor.
Thank you.
Trust me, you're doing me a favor here. So thank you for coming in, guys. Don't forget to check out his team, CWG. We'll probably see more of him coming soon. We're working together on a lot more projects, which is a good thing. And yeah, get to recognize these faces. Once again, thank you. And again, if you guys want to hear the shoutouts, major shoutouts to Prob, CWG, Leo. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. They're at the beginning.
Shout out to Rynex the GOAT.
Yeah, Rynex the GOAT. And I guess we will see you all in the next one. Bye.